Hi, this is Greg in Pensacola, Florida. I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. Tonight is episode 2 of Made with my Makergear, where we'll take a look at different things I've been working on for the last week and some things that you may want to print on your printer at home. Alright, in front of me I've got a fantasy house from printablescenery.com. I believe in my last video I talked a little bit and pointed to a tower that was there, so I've printed out this house. And next to it I've got a 50mm base War Machine figure. So to give you an idea scale wise, and here's a 28. Let's see if we can get this over here. There we go. There's a 28 mil, fantasy, just an undead figure. So that's another scale reference for you. So what we have here, this is part of the Kickstarter. This is part of the Winterdale Kickstarter from printablescenery.com, and they're really good. I think they have 3 pieces left from that Kickstarter to deliver. Believe me, I've got more stuff to print. It came out so fast, and he finished it so quick. And, I mean, this stuff looks really good. So this house, I'm going to do its own review on the Kickstarter so we can show some of the pieces. And I do want to print out the blacksmith, and then I think I'll put together one video of the first 3 pieces I've done. But this house here, just to give you an idea, it's in, the roof right here is in 2 houses. I did print it solid, but it does have like a 10% infill on there. And so there's the top. This was printed in brown PLA Plus by eSun. It's got a middle layer right here with a floor. The floor does print separately, and I just have it press fit in there, but it's not going to come out. I mean, I'm going to have to hit it really hard to get it out. But for me, this is for wargaming terrain, so it's all going to get glued together and go on the table anyways. And then the bottom piece, if you look at some of the brickwork on there. So I thought this came out really good. It prints really good, sits on the bed fine. There were no issues at all printing this, so this was this was really good stuff. I mean, he's put out some really good stuff, and I hope he does in Winterdale too, because I'll be all on that Kickstarter also. The next thing I've got, I'm going to look at my phone here real quick because I need my notes. A friend of mine that I met through the channel, Dion Misha, he sent me a link to a file for these right here. And these are dwarves with the hammers above their head, and apparently it's from the module, The Mamoral Tomb by GP Adventures, Benoit Poor and Ernie Gygax Jr., and the artwork was by Eric Chausen. I'm sure I butchered some of those names. And then the model was designed by Wargaming Miniature Showcase, and I'll put a link to their YouTube channel. And I think they got a website also, so I'll put a link to the website and also to this model right here. So I printed these out, and these printed out really, they printed out well. This is a eSun PLA Plus Silver that I printed it in. I did a 10% infill on the figure, and I did do supports from the build plate. So the supports went down here underneath the handles and stuff like that. And I did put supports, manual supports, on the shoulder. So I use Simplify 3D, so I have the ability to put supports where I want on the model to print. And so I thought these came out really good. And I was doing some other stuff for them, so I was getting ready to go to bed that night when I finished that second figure, and I'm like, what the heck? Why not? Let's key it up. Let's go big on there. So I printed this off. This is 7.5 inches tall. It's the same model. Again, 10% infill. I did use supports from the base, and I put the manual supports in right here. But I thought this thing came out really good. So for me, is going to be a piece of wargaming terrain. So it's going to sit on the table. I'll mount it on some foam core board or something like that. But this is going to be an objective, probably for Frostgrave is what I'm going to use it for. And I've gotten a picture. I don't know if I can show it yet, so I'm not going to show it tonight on the screen. But Diamisha asked him for another pose where he's holding the hammer in front of him with his 2 hands down below. And so I've seen the final picture of that, and it looks really, really good. I know they're doing a test print with it right now that I think he's going to put the file up. But again, this was the model was done by Wargaming Miniature Showcase, and I will definitely put a link to their YouTube channel, and I'll also put a link to Thingiverse for the model. So go ahead and download. This is a really nice model, and the next one that they're working on is going to be equally as sweet as this. So fun times. The next thing, Dragonlock. Dragonlock put out their first expansion set. So in this set, we've got Crumbled Walls. We've got rubble floors. We got just pieces of rubble right here. Another crumbled wall. This is a narrow corner with a pillar, and you'll see the different colors. So this is your ESUN PLA Plus Silver. This is a Hatchbox PLA Silver. Narrow corridor. This right here is a trap wall, so this actually spins, so it'll open up. You know, it's got a post right there that prints, and then this part of it prints with the hole in the bottom, and that just goes on the top. It's got a little indentation where it'll sit right over there, so you can use it as a, you know, as a secret passage in your dungeon. So that was really neat on there. So that, you know, the Dragonbot Kickstarter, we're going to get the third part of it here soon. I'll do another video to show you actually what the renderings or the concept artwork looked like, and this for those that are really interested in the Dragonbot pieces. The next thing I was working on, we do play Guild Ball. So this right here is a dice tray, and so I designed this in Tinkercad, and I play the engineers. So that's the engineers logo, and that's the Guild Ball logo and stuff like that. And so this was my first print. What happened here, if you look at the sidewalls, that's pretty skinny stuff. That ain't gonna hold up. You know, it's okay right here, but you're gonna throw it in your army bag, and it's gonna get beat up, and at some point one of these walls is gonna split. I mean, right now, I mean, it's pretty tough. I mean, I'm giving that a pretty good flex, but I could really pull my thumbs and pop that apart. And this is the brown ESUN PLA Plus. I do like this brown that comes in a PLA Plus from ESUN. This is really good filament. So if you got your 3D printer and you haven't done any design work yet on there, just play around with it. Go to Tinkercad, it's free. Go to I think it's 123D Design. Doesn't cost anything either. Just get around there and play, because at first you're going to be like, wow, I grabbed the square, I moved it over, I'm like, now what, Now, as time goes on, I'm making the dice boxes, I'm putting logos in there, I'm taking just regular vector art logos and turning them into 3D models and putting them in things. And the dice trays are fun because it does give you, working with some different things. I'm taking the AutoCAD class. I'm just now starting to do a little bit design work in AutoCAD. I still run back to Tinkercad because I've kind of gotten my feet used to the type of stuff I'm designing. It's going okay. So, this here, the height's right, the size is right. The logo is not on center, of course. I talked about that in the last video. I don't like the Guild Ball logos in the corners like that, and I just want to take the trade. I think that part right there is trademarked anyway, so I want to take that off the tray itself. Not that I'm selling them, I'm making it for our game group is what I'm doing on there. There's 5 or 6 of us that play. A couple of the guys are transferring out, they're military, so I was making them as kind of a gift for them to go along. So then I went on to version 2, which is right here. I took the Guild Ball logos out of the corners and I moved them to the center of the tray and I printed. Thickness of the walls, we're good on that now. The Guild Ball logo in the middle, I don't like that at all on there. So again, pull the logo out. The final design doesn't have the logo in there. And then when I was doing my test print, I like the longer prints to run overnight. And so I got up in the middle of the night, went to get something to drink, that came in and looked, because I knew I was going to be tight on the filament. Yeah, I had about 3 more coils and about 7 more layers, and I'm like, I don't know. It's just a test print. I don't like this in the middle. I'm just going to stop the print right there. But, design-wise, this is what I liked on there. It's, I like the thickness of the walls. It's rigid. The wall height is right. The logo is sunk deep enough in, and let me grab something. So when you roll dice into the tray, none of them are cocked. They're all laying flat, even with the indentation. So I think my measurements were right and stuff like that. So I was like, cool. So that's a good design. Now let me start working on the guy's tray that's actually leaving. So this right here was the first shot at his tray. He wanted his in white, and he plays the butchers, and that's it's a meat cleaver and a knife, represents the butchers in the game. So they have a logo with a circle around it. So I took a meat cleaver and a knife, and we put it in there, and then I started printing it. And this was all going good. I mean, it was looking good, but right here on the edge, it started to lift early in the print. And then right over here, you see it started to lift. And this was on those PEI sheets I showed from my last video on there. So I'm like, oh, I can let it go, because you really can't see it when it's sitting down there. But when it was all said and done, I'm like, I can't let that go. So I stopped the print. So then I was hemming and hawing again. I'm like, I'm going to give Build Tack another try. Maybe I didn't give it a fair shake. I've never had a print lift. I've never lost a print because of adhesion with the Build Tack. My problem is I lost the Build Tack trying to get my prints off to stuff. So I ordered some more from Amazon, and I also ordered the Build Tack spatula, which is this right here. So in between then, I was just cruising around YouTube like I normally do, and I was looking for just alternate adhesion methods on there. So, and I see people printing on bare glass all the time, and they're talking about hairspray and stuff, and I'm like, I watched another guy's video, and he pulled out some hairspray and he sprayed it on his glass, and I'm like, I'm gonna give it a shot. What is it? It's $2 for a can of Aquanet. Now the Aquanet thing seems to be pretty common across the hairsprays. So I went and got the purple can of Aquanet. It cost me like $2.50. I brought it home, and you got to spray your glass. So obviously you don't spray the glass. If you don't have removable glass or removable build plate or the glass, don't use it. It's going to mess up your printer. But I take the glass off. I go out to the kitchen. I put the paper towels down, and I just spray over it. And then I let it dry for an hour, and I come out and I spray over it again. You spray it heavy. You spray it heavy enough that you can't even see through the glass, and then all of a sudden it'll turn clear, and then it'll dry. I have not lost a print. I have not had a lift of a print. And all I do is I let the bed cool I just let the bed completely cool, and I just go up and I just hand lift the pieces off. It's like, click, done. I haven't had to use the spatula. I haven't had to use the scraper. That, so far in 3 months of printing, has hands down been the best print adhesion thing that I've used. It's ridiculous. It's a $2.50 can of hairspray. And the key is I have multiple pieces of glass. I have 3 pieces of glass. So I spray one, I print 5 or 6 prints on it, throw the next piece of glass on there, go out, I run hot water over the old piece of glass, wipe it with a paper towel for about 7 seconds, and all the old hairspray comes off, dry it, boom, pop some new hairspray on the next day. Because usually, I can, 2 build plates will last me all day, if not a day and a half. And I just keep doing that cycle, so get an extra piece of glass. Because I'm telling you right now, that Aquanet, that purple Aquanet, it's an ultra hold, is just, it still blows my mind that the $2.50 can, it just works. And the bottom of your prints, I mean, can you see how shiny and smooth that is? It's, this is me forgetting to turn my support off. This is why that stuff's in there. But these there's no corner lift anywhere, and I haven't done a thing but take this model off the build plate. So if you're having adhesion problems, you got to have a heated bed on there. The hairspray is not going to work unless you have a heated bed, because that's the deal. The bed heats up. I keep mine at 65 degrees Celsius when I print, and then when it cools down, it actually goes, you can hear it go, a little crack sound, and what that is the this losing its grip to the plate because of the rates of cooling. I don't know, there's something I'm sure sciencey about that, but all I know is when my build plate cools, I walk over, I grab my piece, and I'm good to go. So being able to load up your build plate with all this was done at one time on my build plate. I normally would not. I would have never have done that with the PEI sheet, because I would have been afraid I would have lost one piece over there or somewhere else. But So I filled up the whole plate and printed, and I haven't had any issues at all. So that's the method I'm going to use right now. I do have my build tack behind me. Maybe if I start printing in PETG or ABS, I'm going to change it. But for right now, I'm printing in PLA, and I'm going to use that $2. I'm going to ride that $2.50 can of hairnet all the way to the end on there. I'm not changing nothing because of the results that I'm getting with that. So I didn't like the lift and just type A personality on me, so I stopped the print. Went to long-winded, did the hairnet thing, did the hairspray thing on the glass, and I have not had a problem since. His board, I'll tell you, I'll try and slide a picture or two in here because I've already given it to him. It came out great, and it also, this was this is an 8-inch shot template on here for when things go. This was an early design that I didn't like. I don't like the text. It's just not thick enough to support the text on there. But what I did want to show you, if you can see the back, that's what the hairspray, the back of it looks like. It looks like glass going across there. It's that smooth, it's that shiny, and there's no lift or anything like that. So again, I settled on a different design. I'll show that in the picture on there. But that came out really good. And that's a long wind of me saying, jump on Tinkercad, jump on 123D Design. These things are free. Fusion 360 by AutoCAD. If you're a student, boom, license, 3-year license. If you're an entrepreneur, if you make less than, I think it's $1 million on there, boom, 3-year license. Onshape is another one. So if you like SolidWorks, and no one at home is going to be able to afford a SolidWorks license, Onshape, it's got a similar process. You can keep 10 designs up in there for free, and then it goes to a monthly, rate after that. But it's not crippled software. It's full-blown software, and it's 100% web-based. So it runs on your tablet, it runs on your phone, it runs on your computer. So you can collaborate and share design work, with your friends. So, when you first get your printer, you're just printing tons of stuff off Thingiverse. I really like the ideas of design. This is a terrible design. This is what I thought looked okay on the screen. And I'll try and pop a picture in here of what in my head it was going to look like, and this is what it came out as. So this is a rock wall. But it's neat. So this is the first iteration, and this just goes to show you why it's so fun with a 3D printer. You think of something, I designed it, I printed it, and I didn't like the end result. So what it cost me? A little design time and about 14 cents worth of filament, to print this. So I went back and I redid design, except this time I extruded the stones instead of sinking the stones in. And as I'm extruding the stones, I'm like, why did I sink them in? But I didn't lose anything. I didn't have to go send this off somewhere to have it manufactured. I didn't need to go have it CNC milled for God knows how much money or something like that. It's just a design. Came out of my head and was on the printer 30 minutes later. Now I have a second iteration. I haven't printed yet, so I'm going to try it. I'm going to see how things work. And just to talk about the iteration thing, back to the Guild Ball. Guild Ball has different effects on there. So knockdown, on fire, bleeding, and poison. Well, they don't. It's a company over in Great Britain that does this stuff, and it's a hot game, and everything is sold out all the time. So I'm like, well, what's it take for a couple cents to make some condition tokens? So I started with these. I'm going to see if I can zoom in on this. Oop, that's not zoom. Let's see if it'll focus. Alright, so this was my first iteration. So knockdown, fire, and this was going to be poison. And this is 10 millimeter tokens. And you can see right from here, those are way too small. The edges broke. The poison thing didn't even print out at all on there. So that just didn't work well. So I took that iteration, and then I said, well, let me make it a little bit bigger. So then I had this. So, oops. Someday I'll figure out how to work this. Looking at my camera and moving things. So this is iteration number 2. They're a little bit bigger. Still not getting the definition that I wanted on the fire, and the poison symbol's looking a little funny. The knockdown was fine. The KD printed fine. The walls were thick enough that they weren't going to break or anything like that. So I said, you know what? Let me just bump it up just a little bit more. So then this is what the final design ended up looking like. Fire, poison, knockdown. It's easy to see what the shape is on there. So I'm like, great. You know, I thought this looked good. So at that point, I went, and when I gave my buddies their trays, here's the final tokens. So let me dump some of these out. So I printed the tokens in different colors of PLA. So white is knockdown, red is bleeding, the yellow is fire, and the green is poison on there. So it's really not only by, you know, by color, not only by color. I don't know if that's going to focus. No. But you can see it down here. Not only by color can you tell what they are, but that also has a unique logo on there. Pennies. You know, it costs pennies to make these, but we use them in the game. We used them yesterday. We use them for all our effects on there. They're super cheap. If I need to make a bunch of them, I just load them up, put 30, 40 on my print bed, and just print them off, set them off to the side. So what was nice, and I'll show you the picture. I will pop this picture in, definitely. You know, you're going to have a Guild Ball tray, tokens, intercept path marker, that was the long stick, and the original templates that I showed from the other video, all as one package, all 3D printed. So all you need is some dice. They do sell the specific faction tokens that, you know, like the name spells and stuff, so we all bought those. But for the game, it's right here, you know, it's any new player that wants this stuff that starts up with this, it doesn't really cost anything to make, you know.